Yes, what's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk about all things boxing. Remember, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Yeah, so anyway, let's get into it. So, again, we're into fight week now. It's the third day of fight week. We just got about what we got Thursday and Friday now to go, and that's it. So, we're going to be into the undisputed heavyweight title fight, all the belts, all four belts on the line. First time in the four belt era between Oleksander Usyk and Tyson Fury. We're finally going to get to see who's the man. In this video, I'm just looking at some keys to victory this time for Oleksander Usyk. We've already looked at Tyson Fury, four little keys for him. Now, today I'm just looking at four keys to victory for Oleksander Usyk. Just simple things tactically that I think Usyk can do that will win him the fight. So, first of all, I think one of the main things Usyk does well is movement. So, movement of various types, and I think for Usyk, movement is going to be key in this fight for him to win it. In and out movement, side to side with the feet. You know, as we know that several of Usyk's opponents have struggled with the movement of him because of his fantastic footwork. Many have been troubled, and mentally and physically, it's been draining for Usyk opponents thus far to deal with the movement, the fact that he can just get in and get out so quick, and he can be on your blind side within seconds, and then he hits you from the blind side and counters you from the blind side, and so the movement of Alexander Usyk for me is going to be a very key thing for me, that utilizing those feet, using those feet to put pressure on Tyson Fury, using those feet to make Tyson Fury have to chase him and have to chase the fight and not be able to catch him, not be able to catch the rabbit as he calls him. So I think that footwork and movement is going to be very, very key, because he can use it to either pressurize Fury, to put the pressure on him with his feet and make Fury have to think harder, make Fury have to work harder than he wants to. He can use it defensively. He can use it in the middle where he's darting into range quickly and darting out of range, because one thing that is for sure for me in this fight is that Usyk has got the edge in speed, in both, I think, slightly speed of hand and especially speed of foot. I think of the two guys, because of the size of Fury moves good for a big man. He's quick for a big man, for a giant. But Alexander Usyk is a bit smaller and he's a bit sharper and he's a bit quicker for me. So Usyk has got that slight edge in speed, so you can use that speed of hand, speed of foot to get in, get out, and do his work. And we know that also, on another note, that Tyson Fury, he does struggle against smaller, quicker opponents. He struggled, got cut up by Otto Wallin. He struggled with the southpaw stance in that fight. He struggled a bit and had to change things against Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham was able to put him over with a overhand right in their fight, and he really did struggle with the Steve Cunningham fight, for the fact that Steve Cunningham's smaller and quicker, so he had to switch up his game plan and turn into a bruiser and just walk Steve Cunningham down, lean over him, and just fight a completely different fight to what he does normally. So obviously he struggles with that. We look at even going back to John McDermott. John McDermott, a smaller heavyweight, gave Tyson Fury, an absolute nightmare. Arguably won their first fight. He was a sort of smaller heavyweight. And we look at Nevin Pikic, who was able to also put Tyson Fury down. Basically, a guy that's nowhere near world level, sort of a domestic guy, not the greatest of fighters, but he was able to put Fury down. So smaller guys have been able to give Fury lots of trouble with their speed, with their movement, and there's been controversial decisions, like in the case of John McDermott and etc., etc. So we know that he's struggled with smaller guys and he's struggled with movement. So you got to do that. And also, in relation to movement, it's the head movement is another thing connected to movement. So Usyk has got to use the head movement that he has, and he's brilliant at head movement. He can use it defensively on the back foot with the head movement, moving out of Fury's way, making him miss. He can use it on the offense as he's coming forward, bobbing and weaving, and every time, feinting Fury, making Fury miss, making Fury pay. So the head movement connected to the foot movement, those two things are going to be key for Alexander Usyk. So far, head movement, foot movement, in and out of range, making Fury have to work harder, making Fury sort of second guess himself. Those things are going to be important. Now, the third thing I'll say that's going to be important is punches in bunches, so combination punches. And now we know, anyone that follows Usyk's career knows that Usyk has got a very good engine. Tyson Fury's got an excellent engine as well for a big man, but Alexander Usyk has got an excellent engine. He's had one at cruiserweight. He's a guy that can throw punches for 12 rounds. He can box for 12 rounds and come out of a 12-round fight with energy still to spare. We saw him against Anthony Joshua, where Joshua had a good round late in the fight. I think it was around the 10th round, and then Usyk comes back in the next round and has a fantastic round, throwing loads of combinations, hurting Joshua, really showing Joshua who's in charge. And I think this combination punching is going to be very, very important for Alexander Usyk. I think when he lands on Fury, he's got to land threes and fours, let the judges know that he's in charge. So that he's got to throw punches in bunches, got to throw combinations at Alexander Usyk. Sorry, what am I saying about Usyk? I mean at Tyson Fury all night long. So he's got to use his combination, throw into threes and fours. And, when you're landing on this big man, mate, you light him up. Land in bunches, punches in bunches. That's another key thing for Alexander Usyk, combination punching. And lastly, I'll say this is probably the easiest key to victory for him, is to target the cut eye. This is a very, very obvious one for me, because obviously we know that Tyson Fury suffered that cut in sparring. One of his sparring partners cut him in the eye, and we know that, okay, it's been about, couple of months or so since this cut as was opened. So there's a very good chance that if you hit him on those eyes, you hit him there, multiple times, that's going to open up, and that's another massive key to victory. I think that makes the fight a lot easier for Alexander Usyk. I tell you this, that if I was in Usyk's camp, if I was in his team, if I was his trainer, I'd have a picture of Tyson Fury on a punch bag, and I'd have a cross across the eye, and I'd make Alexander Usyk keep targeting that eye. And I think, for me, that's another, that's sort of the last key to victory. That the man's been injured to the eye. He got a cut eye in sparring, so you'd be a fool to not target that. So for me, that's the last one for me, that you target his eyes. You try and bust him up in the face and bust that cut open. And then once if you successfully do that, that makes the fight a lot easier for you. That gives you a massive advantage over Tyson Fury. And that, as I say, that's you're kind of halfway there. If you do that, it might sound like a dirty tactic or underhanded, but at the end of the day, this is a fight, this is a boxing match, and if you get that advantage, just like Lennox Lewis when he was losing to Vitaly Klitschko, he was losing on points, but he managed to hurt Klitschko. He managed to bust open his eye, and the eye was nearly hanging out, and every time Lewis got close, he would sort of bend his head down, and their head would sort of go into the eye, and it would make it worse. And he'd use all these little tactics, putting his arm in his face and whatnot. So yeah, for me, I'd target that face, target those eyes, and that's a big advantage. So for me, that's the four the keys to victory for Usyk. First of all, we're looking at movement, in and out movement. Related to that, we look about counter punching, head movement, things of that nature. Also, thirdly, combinations, punches in bunches, he's got to do that. And lastly, target the cut eye. Also, another one that's like a bonus point is, as I just saw the open workout there with Alexander Usyk, I think he could even switch stances, because he worked out as an orthodox fighter. He could even do that as a sort of surprise tactic on Tyson Fury for little periods of the fight to sort of throw him off as well. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Keys to victory for Alexander Usyk. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Look forward to seeing you next time.